Living at Burning Man is hard. I got kicked out of my shift pod, and now I have to live in this thing for another 2 or 3 nights. And of course it's a dust storm, a huge dust storm. So my tent is doing pretty good right at the moment, but a few minutes ago it was coming in pretty far. I mean, it could collapse. Main thing I'm dealing with is the dust. Look at this. This is the dust storm. And you can see I just kind of threw all my stuff in here because I was moving out of the shift pod into this, so I just kind of threw all my stuff in here. And in the matter of 20, 30 minutes, my stuff is covered. I'm sitting in my chair and it got covered. So now I'm just making mud in the chair. This is what it's really like. Man, yeah, you can see it on my face. And it's hot. I mean, I've just been in this tent trying to stay out of the wind and out of the dust as much as possible. Cooking in here, you just cook. Because now the shade's gone, my reflective material's gone. It's just a stupid tent, and in a tent in the full sun, all you do is you just cook. I do have goggles, so I was helping take down camp out there, and you definitely need goggles in certain situations. Whew. You just kind of sweat it out, wait it out, you chill out in here, you try to eat some food. You can't cook in this kind of conditions because you could spill and have a disaster. So I'm just eating fig bars and drinking water. I do have my fan going on. You see the panel here, I got it inside right now just because of the wind. But that's been keeping this charged up really, really well. And so I do have the fan blowing on me, and that helps a little bit. But you can just see how everything is caked. This is the end of the event. There's kind of nothing out here anymore. I know I didn't show very much, if at all, any of the actual event, because I want you guys to experience that stuff for yourselves. Look it up, you can find out what it's all about. What I really came out here to do for all of you is to show you some of the equipment that I use and how I can survive in these kind of situations. This is super harsh out here. They have these free bikes out here at Burning Man. They have I don't know, they must have 1,000 of these bikes running around. And right now at the end of the event, you can find these bikes all over the place, and these are free to ride around, but anybody can take them. If you leave them on the road or near your camp, anybody can grab them and use them. So they're community bikes. Now, when it's not busy, obviously there's not very many people here, these bikes are very commonplace, but when this place is packed, it's much harder to find what they call yellow bikes. They call them yellow bikes, but they're actually green. It says this is a community bike. So that's really the thing when you're in an area like this that's this harsh. Not everything is going to work. Some of the equipment I brought out here, it didn't hold up to, 2 weeks of heavy use. And there's a lot of sun out here, obviously a lot of dust, and that tends to be the factors that really make your equipment stop working, and all kinds of things can go bad. This tent is amazing. It's from REI. But I'll tell you what, the sand out here, the dust, it gets in those zippers, and then your zippers can be screwed. Other than that, the tent itself is, doing really well, but you have to think about everything in situations like this. Let's go inside my tent and I'll show you some of the other gear that I got. Now let's check out this piece of gear. You've seen this in my tent, and when I had the shift pod set up, I was using this in there. Look at how much dust. Wow. This piece of equipment is awesome. I love this thing. We've been here over 2 weeks now, and I've used this every day. And this thing has worked flawlessly. I've had no problems with it at all. It has a lot of features I use. I use this light feature, which you can't see now, but there's also a light here, which I don't use that one so much, but it's a good spotlight. And this I've been using for my razor. I can also charge my bike. The main thing I think I use this for is the fan. There we go. Oh, that feels good right now. And we can look on the display here. And it's hard to read in the sun, but it's fully charged. These guys, EBL, they sent me this unit, which I'll have a link to this down below, so check the link, because I definitely recommend this product. It's a little bit less expensive than some of the more popular brands, but this thing has a lot of extra features, so you should definitely take a look at it. So click that link down below. And then this panel, I think, is one of the shining stars of this whole setup, because it folds up and it works so good. In full sun, I can charge this thing at least twice. I will have to reposition the panel throughout the day, about 3 or 4 times. As the sun's position changes, then you reposition the panel. And I can get this thing charged multiple times in one day. And this panel, if you look on Amazon, you'll see the price of this panel, and it's not that expensive. As far as plugging it into other devices, I think it's mainly just made to work with the EBL battery. This is one of the connectors that comes with it for the panel. And this fan is just one of those cheap $20 Walmart fans. And I usually keep this thing in the trailer. It's usually not quite that dusty. And that thing will work for a couple years, and then it starts to get noisy and you gotta throw it out. Here's the back of it with the light. And let's return now to the Set Power 12-volt refrigerator. You can freeze stuff in here or just keep it cool, and that's what I've mostly been using it for out here, is keeping things like cheese and beer and drinks cool. The one thing I noticed was, you see, this is really the main problem I have with this thing, is you can't stack 2 cans, which it's not that big of a deal because this is actually a pretty big container for your stuff. And this thing, it does work great. It's been off now for a few hours, so I'm going to get it started back up here, and we'll see how quickly I can cool this down. You can see how big it is. And it has these detents here for drinks, which don't really serve much of a purpose. But for sitting on, this thing is sturdy, really sturdy. So you just plug it in here. Take your 12-volt jack and you plug it into your EBL. And now you just adjust your temperature to where you want it. We'll put it on 39. The set power is cooling my drinks now out here in the middle of the desert. You can see all my gear I'm packing up. That's basically the full contents. That's everything that I brought. And if you go back to some of my earlier videos, you can see all this gear when it's looking a lot cleaner. I mean, this terrain just thrashes whenever you bring out here. So you gotta bring good stuff.